For the second time in 3 weeks, the big wheels are set to be taken out here at the Stafford Motor Speedway for Spear Brothers Kids Night, and that means Bonssa Tufa, we are getting down to the end of the season, just a couple of weeks remaining here in 2024 at Stafford.
So we got to keep an eye on the championship battle while also keeping an eye on the front stretch when the big wheels are back at it for 2 more races this season. After this past Friday, we've seen some point battles tighten. We've seen some point battles expand, but there's still 3 weeks to go, 3 events to go for some divisions, 2 for others after this Friday. Who knows what's going to happen? You got to take it week by week as we approach October.
Down to the final 3 Friday nights of the season. We'll start with last Friday night in the SK Modifieds. A busy night for them with not 1 but 2 events. And Tyler Hines picking up his first win in over 2 years in the 40-lap feature.
That's a huge win in more ways than one for Hines, the Poulin family, the entire 99 team. He took the lead just before halfway and never looked back. That car, we've seen them trend better performance-wise. He had 2 top 5s in 3 races before the win last Friday night. He took the lead from Flannery and just pulled away from there. 2 years. Same car that he won with 2 years ago. They had a different car this year, decided to change cars mid-season because things were not going well at all. And since then, it's been quite the turnaround. Now they can end off the year on a high note and look forward to 2025 and start off strong then.
And finishing in the second spot, Mikey Flynn. His season continues to impress at the front of the field, another podium.
It's amazing how fast that 24 has been since maybe a year and a half ago. They really turned it around. Then when he teamed up with Keith Rocco at the end of last year, we got a sneak peek of the speed that 24 had in the final 2 events of the year, despite results not showing it. He has a win this season, his first SK win, and he's been a whole lot more consistent, running top 5, top 10 in a class that's really hard to fulfill that consistent record of top 5s and top 10s. Flynn, in the future, if he keeps that up, you'll see him fighting for a championship. But he's got to keep going, keep pushing, and keep fighting up there at the front of the field week in and week out.
You mentioned the championship battles in the SK Modifieds. Andrew Moeller continuing to do what he needed or needs to do over this last month, and that's just finished toward the front of the field. Did it again last week in 5th.
3 straight top 5 finishes for that 85 team, coming off the win the week before and a podium the week before that. It's exactly what you got to do. Moeller, big picture thinking, staying out of trouble for the most part, getting those top 5 runs. He's got a good lead over Mike Christopher Jr., who's now second in points. Christopher finished 4th in the 40-lap feature after starting 14th. Again, a really fast car, but as long as Moeller stays close with him, that championship picture looks to be in that 85 team's favor.
And for those keeping track, 7 different winners in 7 40-lap features, and you can add an 8th to that list as well with Noah Corner.
That's understatement to say that's huge. That's massive for that 31 team with all the bad luck they've had overall for the last couple seasons, but especially this year. In fact, they took a couple weeks off trying to repair the car, just try to refresh. And what a refresher for them, coming back a couple weeks after their return, getting the win in the TC13. A little contact in turn 3 between he and Talman, racing hard for that top spot. Once Corner took the lead, he checked out. The race went green to checker. The final 13 laps, no issues at all across the field. A lot of hard racing from second on back, which allowed Corner to pull away. For him, his father, Glenn Corner, that whole 31 team, it had been 5 years since he last won an SK Light Modified feature in 2019. He's a legend winner at Stafford. Now he can say he's an SK Modified winner, and that's huge for them.
The 98th different SK Modified winner since the inception of the division, inching toward that 100 mark. Who will it be, and will it happen this year? We're beginning to run out of weeks, but you never know.
I'll get back to you in 2026. How about that?
There you go. In the late models, it was a familiar name in victory lane, but it was fairly eventful getting to that point for Kevin Gambacorta, who picked up the win in a wild 30-lap main event.
And that was his first win since May. He won back-to-back features in mid-May, but since then hadn't returned to victory lane up until last Friday. He had the benefit of a better starting position and just capitalized on it. Took the lead from Tom Fern, pulled away from the field. Adam Gray was closing in on him, but Gray had power steering issues. In fact, he lost power steering in the last laps. Gray still finished second despite that. Gambacorta, the point leader, doing what he needs to do in a big way. What better way than winning the race and getting maximum points, especially when Paul Verrecchio Jr. finished back in the 8th spot. Verrecchio has not been going good the last couple weeks, so that point lead for Gambacorta has ballooned to 44 now with 3 events to go heading into this Friday. Gambacorta's in a good spot, but you can't settle. The late models have had a lot of contact, a lot of fierce racing that has led to trouble week in and week out, so nobody is safe despite the big lead.
How big would it be for Kevin to get his 2nd consecutive championship along with son Colton, who won his 2nd consecutive championship in the Wild Thing Karts Junior Outlaws just over a week ago?
I think Kevin has no choice. He has to win the championship. Otherwise, his son's going to have the bragging rights. So I don't know if Kevin can handle a full winter of Colton telling him how much better he is because he won 2 straight titles and he didn't.
Couple of new winners last Friday night in our 5 weekly divisions, including in the SK Light Modifieds in a thriller that came down to the final lap.
That was an awesome show. A 3-way battle, a 3-way dance between Robert Bloxham III, Josh Morrison, and Alexander Pearl. In the end, Robert Bloxham III gets his first SK Light win at Stafford, his first Stafford win in 8 years when he had his only win in the limited late models back in 2016. That was so much fun to watch. I mean, they were very clean the whole way through. Bloxham lost the lead to Morrison and then got it back. Pearl thought about going for the win, turn 3, decided to conserve his equipment, being that it could be a very bold move that leads to trouble. Pearl doesn't like to push the issue, and he settled for a second-place run. Just a great battle between those 3. And for Bloxham, his first SK Light win 4 years ago, he came so close to getting a win here at Stafford on opening night. Decided to back off, kind of like what Pearl did last Friday, not push the issue on the final lap, risk wrecking their equipment. This time, 4 years later, it's come back around. He gets the victory. That's a huge one for that 32 team that kind of struggled during the summertime. Josh Morrison, another great run. That's back-to-back podium finishes for that 35 team. He's come a long way in a very short amount of time, relatively speaking. And, man, they are a contender week in and week out. He started back in 10th. It's not like he started up front. He had to pass his way through some cars to get up there. Pearl, so close. He probably had the fastest car amongst the top 3, but time ran out. But that 7 car, they've been really fast the last 3-4 weeks. And then Tyler Chapman, our championship leader, he had trouble before the feature even started when he got caught up in a wreck right here in turn 2 in the heat. Wade Gagner and Paul Arcari got together, and Chapman had nowhere to go. Clipped Sammy Anderson and went into the wall. Had to go to his brother's backup car, Jason Chapman's car. Started in the back, finished 13th, but he still gained points because Chris Matthews got black flagged twice during the feature and put it on the pit road as a result.
Still over 100 points for Tyler Chapman as he leads going into the final few events of the season. In the limited late models, our first 3-time winner of the season in what has been a very competitive year and a new face in the top 5. I guess a familiar face, but in a new ride in the top 5 for the limiteds.
So Kevin Cormier gets the win. That's his 3rd victory of the year, as you mentioned, the first driver to do it. Took the lead early on. There was an early incident in turn 3 amongst the top 3 cars. Cormier took the lead beforehand, and once he took the lead, he was gone. Nobody could touch him. So Cormier, ever since he's gotten back to the limited late models, he's done, I think, 3 wins in about 9 races. It's a pretty good ratio considering how tough the field has been this year. And he complemented the competition this season in the limited late models. We saw 20 of them last week. So a big win for Cormier. Devin Jensick shaved the point deficit to Matt Clement by a couple.
Close.
It is getting closer with 3 events left. And the new driver, at least in this division, as you talked about, Travis Hydar. First race in the limited late model, started 14th, finished 4th, right on the back gate of Jeremy Lavoie's car at the checkered flag. Hydar said he loved driving that car. He loved how that car could go through the corners faster than a street stock could, and he's excited for 2025. And if that's his first start, who knows what he could bring in his last start this year and next season.
I guess if I'm Travis Hydar, I am excited for 2025 as well because the second half of 2024 has not gone well for him after having so many good nights early on. 9 wins in the street stocks, 9 point-paying wins, 10 if you include the Cletus McFarlane event. But, boy, the last couple of weeks have not been good, and that included last Friday night.
Yeah, just an innocent victim of a wreck in turn 2 where Aslan got sideways after contact with Lafayette. Waterman got into Lafayette, hit the wall, came down, clipped Hydar right in the right rear tire, ripping the casing off the right rear wheel. It's just a story of that 11 cars year. Hero or zero, week in and week out. He's down to 6th in points. 9 wins on the year and you're 6th in points. That's something we would have never expected, especially for that 11 team that knows how to stay out of trouble. But you can only get so lucky for so long, and the luck has not gone their way in recent weeks. The luck has gone the way, though, of our newest winner in the Street Stock division, Brandon Warren, our newest Stafford Speedway winner at that. He's been good year in and year out over the last couple seasons. He got his first podium at Stafford earlier this year. Now he got his first win, had to hold off Jeff Aslan, had to hold off Jason Lafayette. You still had guys like Downey and Trott behind him. Warren, they tested here the day of, early in the day, all day, and it paid off in a big way for that 55 team. You could see the excitement when he climbed out of the car. That's a momentous occasion for him. He felt like maybe he was doubting himself, doubting the equipment, but don't doubt yourself. It's not always you, and the driver got it done with the car that could win it.
Always fun to have a new face in Napa Victory Lane, and Brandon Warren got it done in the street stocks. You mentioned a couple of the names a moment ago running for the championship. Tyler Trott, Travis Downey, still relatively close with just a few events to go.
Yeah, Downey finished ahead of Tyler Trott by like one spot, which closed the gap a little
points.
bit. And honestly, Tyler Trott's car didn't seem that great during the street stock feature up until that wreck in turn 2 with Haidar and Waterman. Trott was back in about the 8th spot while Downey was up to 4th. So that caution actually gave Trott a chance to catch back up with the field. And so it wasn't as bad a night as it could be. But if Trott has a car that can run 7th or 8th, that's not going to be enough. He needs to be up there top 5 like Downey was with 3 events to go.
Is Friday night the night Bonssa Tufa gets behind the wheel of Big Wheel?
No, unless you're on the big wheel with me.
Well,
we can do a match race down the front straightaway.
I might be on another big wheel, but it could be tight.
Yes, that is fair.
It'll be fun. Spear Brothers Kids Night here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Always a good time, featuring the kids on the front straightaway in big wheels. The announcers, we're just going to stick to just talking about it.
Stick to what we're good at.
That's right, and that's going to be part of the action this Friday night. It's going to be fun. All 5 of our weekly divisions, championship battles on the line as we get down toward the last few weeks of the season here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. All the action gets underway at 6 o'clock, and if you can't be here, like every week, you can tune us in on Flow Racing.